Welcome to In Focus Texas, where we go beyond the headlines and take an in-depth look at the issues that matter to you. I'm your host, Carla Leal. This week, we're shining the light on small businesses. Texas ranks second in the nation for the most small business development. This according to the business tool website Overlow. The Lone Star State has over 3 million small businesses, and as National Small Business Week takes place, we are recognizing the contribution of America's entrepreneurs and focusing on resources available to empower small business owners in Texas. Census data shows more than 10 million businesses were created in the U.S. in the last 2 years, and Hispanics are starting them at the highest rate. Our Amber Hughes shares an example that showcases the struggles and joys of entrepreneurship.
One French toast and a breakfast sandwich, add sausage.
Chef Edward Garcia III went from the military to the kitchen.
Culinary Academy, Le Cordon Bleu commercial pops up. As cheesy as that might sound, I'm just like, holy, oh man, I think that's what I want to do.
In 2015, he linked with his gym buddy, Daniel Trevino.
Hey, y'all, good morning. Y'all welcome in.
The two opened the Box Street social food truck and catering.
The first thing we wanted to do was open a brick and mortar. We just couldn't find any locations.
They had catering gigs booked all 2020 and on track to open up a restaurant. But COVID.
Literally, March came and everything canceled.
Delayed but not denied, Box Street All Day finally opened its doors.
How's everything so far, ladies?
Oh, great.
Awesome.
A major feat for Chef Edward.
I lost my mom for COVID. So my dad's super proud, man, I don't know, it's just amazing.
Box Street is one of many Hispanic-owned businesses that grew during 2021. According to the White House, Hispanics are starting businesses 23% faster than before the pandemic. Marina Gonzalez is the president and CEO of the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. On the city level, they advocated for American Rescue Plan Act funding, securing $31 million for small businesses.
ARPA is vital to make sure that our businesses can continue to keep their doors open.
The White House invited the Box Street team to a Latino small business roundtable. Chef Edwards says it was an honor to represent his community.
Came from sleeping on the floor in the west side of San Antonio. It makes me proud to represent the individuals that I personally know as well, getting chills to think about it.
A well-known advocate for the Hispanic business community in the Lone Star State is the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce, better known as TAMAC. Its Executive Vice Chair, J.R. Gonzalez, joins me in our studios. J.R., welcome.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you for having me.
You know, our reporter story briefly touched on how the White House recognizes that Hispanic entrepreneurs are starting up businesses at a fast rate. What has TAMAC seen? What type of businesses are Latinos creating?
Well, it's interesting. Latinos in general, Carla, have been very entrepreneurial, and that is a trend that has not changed. In fact, to the earlier reporter's point, Hispanic-owned businesses are growing faster than any other market segment. For example, over the past decade, for the past 10 years, we've looked at about a 44% growth amongst Latino-owned businesses compared to a 4% growth of non-Hispanic-owned businesses. So there's a real sense of entrepreneurism, upstart businesses, and they're out there starting businesses at phenomenal rates. And what's also interesting, if you look at it, Latinas, Hispanic females, are starting businesses even faster. They're starting businesses faster than any other market segment out there.
So we're go-getters, somos más aventadas.
Definitely go-getters.
Well, your organization encompasses 18 Hispanic chambers of commerce from all over Texas. What type of resources do you offer to the businesses, and how are you different from a Chamber of Commerce?
TAMAC started off as an umbrella organization for Hispanic chambers across the state. As we've evolved, and especially since the pandemic, we've had to make some changes. We still support other Hispanic chambers, but we also, a key component is working with the state legislature a lot. We're advocating for small businesses and making sure that we advocate for good laws and try to prevent bad laws from passing. As we look at it, there's about close to 800,000 Hispanic-owned businesses in the state of Texas, and that is who we are the voice for. As we're out there advocating for small businesses, but we also have resources available.
Tell us about those resources.
Some of the resources we did recently is we just completed a webinar series masterclass on digital marketing, where technology seems to be taking over everything, and there's a lot of people who still don't know how to properly market their business online, using digital marketing, using social media, different things. So we had an entire masterclass seminar on that. We also do leadership training programs and try to get business owners connected into the market.
U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has a report that shows that while Latinos start more businesses than any other group in the U.S., they receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Help us understand why is this happening and what can organizations like DAMAC or just entrepreneurs do to access this type of funds?
Unfortunately, that is a sad reality. I've seen it firsthand, where you have a company, an upstart company is looking for venture capital that has advanced technology, that has great management team, they got good ideas, they have patents under their belt, but they're Latino owned. Where you have another company that is a younger upstart that's not halfway where they are, but they're not Hispanic owned, and they're the ones getting the funding. So this is access to capital has been something that's always been an issue amongst Latino and minority-owned companies, people of color. And it exists, and that's how to change that. It's just keep beating the drums and making the noise that it is not. It has nothing to do with what's fair. That's just the way it is. But we always are having to have that fight. What we really need is more Latinos and people of color in those decision-making positions.
And I know that part of DAMAC's work includes legislative advocacy. You mentioned it earlier on behalf of the Hispanic businesses. So what type of causes is DAMAC focused on in the current legislative session? And tell us also, why is it important for business owners to know what lawmakers are up to?
But there's a lot of legislation that's going to adversely affect our businesses. For example, every legislative session, there are certain bills that attack the HUB program. That's for historically underutilized businesses. This is a program that's been around for a while, and that it's not a set aside, it's not it's a program that says people of minority-owned businesses, historically underutilized businesses, are registered and they get a chance to get state contracts. Yet there's a lot of people who go, no, they shouldn't get state contracts, which is interesting because if you look at the state of Texas, we're 40.2% Hispanic, undercounted. You got about a 12 to 13% African American population. You got a 2 to 3% Asian population in the state of Texas. Now my math is a little rusty, but that's over 50% of the state. And if our tax dollars are going to the state of Texas's coffers, it only makes sense that our minority-owned businesses should be able to do business with the state.
Well, JR, I know that you also sit on the Small Business Council of the Export-Import Bank of the United States, and we want to learn more about this, but we got to take a break, so stay with us because In Focus Texas, we'll be right back. Thanks for keeping it here. We're continuing our conversation with the Executive Vice Chair of the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce, better known as DAMAC, J.R. Gonzalez. Well, J.R., part of your advocacy for Texan entrepreneurs includes that you're part of this Council of Small Businesses of the Export-Import Bank of the U.S. So how does a small business determine that they can export their products, and what do they need to do to achieve that?
Great question, Carla, and thank you for asking. I was very honored. In the last year, I was appointed to the XM Bank, and it is an amazing organization. But the thing that I found out most interesting is that in the global market, only 10% of the consumers are in the U.S. 90% of all consumers are outside the market, so outside the United States. So it only makes sense that if you're a small business and you have a product that can be exported, why are you limiting yourself to only 10% of the global consumers? So export is a great avenue to increase your revenue, to scale up your businesses when in fact you pretty much have saturated a market or you don't think you can grow anymore. Exportation is a great avenue to grow your business.
So how can the Export-Import Bank help small businesses, and what are you seeing in your role as part of their Council on Small Business?
Well, the council is a brand new one. And with this council, we're focusing on small businesses to make it easier for them to access the resources that exist at XM Bank. And we're talking about resources from lending opportunities to insurance to even going abroad in other countries and vetting some of your possible customers that you're going to do business with. So it is just a plethora of information out there. But one of the things that we're looking at is how to better gear small businesses, help them scale up so they can start exporting, because the whole premise of the Export-Import Bank of the United States is to get U.S. companies exporting their products so we can bring more dollars into the U.S.
Well, it's great to hear that Texas has good representation at the federal level. Thank you, JR, for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
At our state legislature, SB 5, the inventory tax bill, is bringing hope to small business owners. Our Lauren Kendrick tells us why many support it and how it would help Texan entrepreneurs if it becomes law.
Traco Enterprises has been around since 1990.
So going on 33 years, we're a small family-owned general contractor firm.
Located in San Antonio, J.R. Trevino says the business does commercial construction all over the state. He's seen it all firsthand and says starting a business is hard.
And maintaining a small business is even harder. There's all kinds of expenses that we incur.
A bill recently passed in the Texas Senate may bring relief. SB 5 would eliminate inventory tax.
You know, at first when I realized that we were paying tax on something that we bought that we paid tax on already, I thought it was a little bit ridiculous.
Right now in Texas, inventory tax is applied to anything a business uses in the production of income. Annie Spillman with the National Federation of Independent Business breaks it down.
If you were to take a building and turn it upside down, anything that could fall out, that's what a business would be taxed on.
For JR, it's this.
This is our warehouse where we park our vehicles overnight to keep them safe. They usually have all the employees' tools and maybe some material in there. All of these would be classified as real personal property that we would pay taxes on. Here we have a lot of our material for our jobs in progress or leftover material.
Annie says the tax relief could help keep small businesses running.
To hire more people, or to increase wages, to increase benefits, to give out more bonuses, to invest back into his business.
Whether the bill makes it all the way or not, she says the big takeaway is something's got to change.
If we do not take care of our small businesses, that's going to have a major trickle-down effect, because listen, they employ over 5 million workers in Texas. They account for 99.8% of all businesses in Texas.
Until then, JR says he'll keep on going.
I think that the legislature has shown an inclination towards helping small business, and I'm optimistic that this is another way that they can not only talk about it, but show how much they want to support small business.
Construction projects can be good for business, but in San Antonio, some business owners say the ongoing projects are literally killing their shops. Jose Arredondo tells us why.
Cynthia opened Oscar de la Tienda with the idea of making it a place of convenience.
We always wanted to be your neighborhood tiendita where you could get your basic needs at a fair price.
Think of a New York bodega, but in Texas. That has music, coffee, wine. But life for Cynthia and Oscar de la Tienda has been everything but convenient. She says a lot of it has to do with the development in her neighborhood. So right now the city's distributing grants up to $30,000 for businesses affected by construction. And even though Cynthia's dealt with it for a year straight, her business doesn't qualify. It's because she opened up her tiendita in November 2021. The deadline is January 2021.
So we don't have the financial history that we need to be able to qualify.
The tienda sits in Mario Bravo's District 1, who says that it was just bad timing all around.
I argued for it, I advocated, but we couldn't help everybody.
Cynthia says it's difficult to not believe that her business is gonna fall through the cracks of development, especially when her electricity is getting cut out.
No, I was a few days late on the bill.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a
So instead of just letting her inventory go bad and throwing it away, she gave it away.
I'm about to throw away like $500 in ice cream that I could use to, pay a bill with.
The city says there's still hope for those businesses who don't qualify. Councilman Bravo recently issued a CCR that would hit contractors who are not meeting their deadlines with much larger fines and distribute that money straight to the businesses instead of the city. But requests like that take time. Time Cynthia doesn't have.
I don't have the means to continue to fund this.
She says it's the support of her neighbors and this GoFundMe that provide her some kind of hope.
There would be no reason for me to do this every day if people weren't encouraging me to keep on.
Stay with us. A Texas business owner has closed up shop for now, but she's not giving up. We'll tell you who's helping her structure a comeback next. Welcome back. It's not uncommon for small business owners struggling with cash flow or other challenges to close up shop. But as our Blessing Iwachuku shows us, help is available to reimagine their business goals.
This was supposed to be a beauty and bodywork studio, but it's not right now. And that's because the entrepreneur had to close down its doors shortly after it opened. Her story is not uncommon, but she's not giving up hope. And it's thanks to a large group of women. Elena Moreno has been in the death care industry for more than 2 decades.
My first job was in 1999. I started over at a cemetery in Von Army.
She later opened her own company in 2017. And as disturbing as it sounds,
in her date of passing,
business is good. There's one certainty in this life: people will always die. But what she didn't expect to bury so soon was her second business venture.
I had an opportunity, space became available next door, and then I decided to open up a beauty salon.
Those doors didn't stay open long.
It was pretty tough. I did have a hard time getting workers in. Either they weren't ready or they were still in contract, or it's just the timing wasn't right. So I decided to back off for a little bit and then try again later. So temporarily, it is closed.
Her story isn't unique. Lincoln Business Guide shared 2022 stats for Texas small business. It reports from March 2019 to March 2020, more than 72,000 new businesses opened in Texas, while nearly 64,000 closed. And according to Oberlo, more than 50% of small businesses fail in the first year. Some of those stats was the reason Brenda Ons created her group.
This is what I'm doing, Women Unlimited. Work in the group every day. They were a ton of women that came in actually kind of asking for some kind of help.
More than 3,000 women have joined the Facebook group since 2022.
But within the group, we have so many businesses that ended up just kind of connecting, collaborating, helping each other to just press the share button, on their own channel. Really did help for the business to get more business, right?
Elena is part of the group as well and says she believes those connections she has made there will be key to helping breathe new life to the possible reopening of her beauty studio.
The Texas Workforce Commission has resources to help both small businesses and their employees. Commissioner Aaron Demerson is part of it. He joins me now, and he represents the employer side of things. Welcome to In Focus, Texas.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
How does the Texas Workforce Commission help small businesses?
Help small business in a lot of different ways. We have over 3 million small businesses here in the great state of Texas. 3 years ago, we had 2.5. So you see the trends are up for small businesses. And so we have a number of resources that are available for small businesses. 1-800 line that I'm quite sure you'll put on the screen, but 1-800-832-9394. That's our toll-free number. We have 4 employment law attorneys that are on hand to answer questions that any small business has from that point. We also have the Texas Conference for Employers. Those are workshops that we do for small businesses here in our state. We have a Skills for Small Business program as well. That's a program basically for someone providing training. Entrepreneurs and I call them empresarios in this particular case, they do things differently. During the pandemic, there was a time when before the pandemic, you would do things that were set a certain way. Now they're doing things like foregoing leases. They're pivoting as it relates to their workforce, changing their hours and the like. And so taking advantage of those best practices, taking advantage of what they've seen to work is something that we advocate in a real way.
So we often report on staff shortages impacting industries across the board. What type of resources does the Texas Workforce Commission have to help small businesses train and retain their employees?
Retaining their employees, we have 28 local workforce boards throughout the state of Texas, and those 28 workforce boards are what I call the boots on the ground for everything workforce related. And so if you're a small business and you need access to staff, employees or so, they can help you find that labor force. And so I encourage small businesses to really tap into that local resource. It's available, it's for them, and they're in a position to make a difference.
How important are small businesses and their contributions to the state of Texas, and how are they evolving in this post-pandemic era?
You know, I represent 650,000 employers, 3 million small businesses. You know, 99% of our businesses in Texas are small businesses. Over half of the workforce. We have 15 million in the workforce, and right now small businesses are nearly half of those individuals. So as they say, they're the backbone of the economy, and those stats actually amplify that.
Commissioner Demerson, I know it is National Small Business Week, so how is the Texas Workforce Commission celebrating this?
I'm going to kick off on May the 4th in Temple, Texas with the Governor's Small Business Summit that they have, and so we'll be kicking it off there, basically advocating for small businesses. I'll also post information out and encourage everyone to go out there to support those small businesses that are in their respective communities.
All right, well, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
And for those business owners wanting to access the resources the Texas Workforce Commission has, the number is on your screen. Well, that will do it for this week's In Focus Texas. I'm Carla Leal. Thanks for joining us as we highlight small businesses in Texas. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. And for more refreshing stories about your community, click the subscribe button right over here. You can also download our Spectrum News app to get live news coverage, weather alerts, and more wherever you are. And don't forget to tune in to Channel 55 on Dish and DirecTV for live local reporting every single day. We'll see you then.